Hey everybody, so today I'm going to do a quick demonstration on how to make 1/4 inch paper furniture for your scenic models. So we're going to get started here in a second on a technique that I've used for a while. It does take a little bit of prep work. You can either do the prep work by hand. What you're going to see that I've done is I've pre-drawn my scaled furniture using SketchUp and exporting it onto cardstock. So give me a couple seconds and we'll get set up. Alright, so we're going to get started here on making one of these, which is a 6 foot, actually it's 6'8", sofa in 1/4 inch scale. And this one here is my first attempt. It's a mock-up, and I've learned some things that I needed to adjust before I redrafted it here. So what I'm going to do is take you through taking the form or the template off of this cardstock, and that's what I printed this out as some a little bit heavier weight cardstock, but not too heavy, so you can do the folds a little bit easier. Okay, so tools you'll need: you're going to need a flexible sort of a metal edge ruler. I don't prefer to use these plastic ones because the blades tend to hack them up. So get yourself a metal ruler. I've got some extra blades. It's always good to have a lot of sharp blades on hand. I use this tool. I don't really know what this is. I think it's for pulling staples, but it helps me make sure that I've made all the proper cuts without tearing it up, and I also don't have fingernails, so this helps me quite a bit. I've got my #1 blade knife, X-Acto knife, and a pencil in case I need to make some marks. So if this were an even more precise or easy to use template, some of these lines would be dashed, which would be my score lines, and the ones that are hard would be cut lines. Now I've got tables down here, so basically what we're looking at is a 2x4 table here and the sofa up here. So I'm going to begin with the sofa. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this out, and what I'll probably end up doing is speeding this process up so you don't have to watch every single cut. But when I get to a specific point, I'm going to indicate what I'm cutting and what I'm going to be scoring. So here goes. And there you have it. Got the full sofa out, and I'll go through what each of these components are as we start to make our scores and our begin the assembly. Alright, so taking a look at this, this is the front of the sofa, the face of the sofa. So these are the legs, and it's about 18 inches from the bottom of the leg to the top of the cushion. This is the cushion, this is the back. This is the thickness of the back of the sofa, and this is the rest of the back of the sofa that would fold down into making the back. Here is the vertical part of the armrest. Here's the thickness of that arm, and then here's the side and all the folding tabs that we would use to glue to each surface. So now what I'm going to do is begin to score the surfaces that need to be folded inward. So this I will use the scale or the ruler just to make sure I get a nice straight score. And I typically use, some people use the back of the blade. I don't find that works as well for me, so I use the actual blade. Sometimes I'll have two knives set up, one with a very dull blade that I use for scoring. This time I only have the one blade, so I'll just press very, very gently onto that black line and get a nice score. And I'll do it a couple of times. I'd rather make a couple of passes very lightly as opposed to one thick one. And then it should just simply fold over along that line and give you a nice crisp edge. This takes some getting used to as you do this, so you want to make sure that you're scoring it enough to make that bend nice and clean, but not too much that it weakens the structure and it sort of falls off. So now I know that's scored, I'm going to fold that back up. Alright, so now we've got to do another score here that's going to fold the side over, side of the sofa. So again, use my ruler. I'm going to score along this black line here. Nice and gentle. And then test it to make sure it's scored properly, and that looks good. So I'm going to go rest and do the top scores, and I'm going to show you how to do the backside scores, because sometimes you need internal scores, and I'll do that here in a second. And I'm going to score this tab as well, because that's going to fold under to be a glue tab on this top thickness part of the backrest of the sofa. So let's check that. Good. Good clean break. And I also need to score this line, so that's the back of the actual sofa, or the thickness of the sofa. Just this portion right here. And you may be thinking, boy, those are some very small dimensions. Well, it's 1/4 inch scale. It's going to be pretty small. Fold that down. Alright, so now I need to make another score here for the armrest. I didn't do that one earlier. I'm pretty sure I need to cut through here, so I'm going to cut that. Again, if I make a mistake, nothing a little glue can't fix. So I'm going to do this. That's the other thing to remember is it's paper furniture, folks. We're not doing surgery. So if you make a mistake, you just print out another piece of paper, or you fill it in with glue and you hope for the best. Alright, so now I've got that scored. Oh, I haven't scored the thickness here, or if I did, I didn't score it enough. And now what I need to do is score this line on the back side. And what I tend to do when I do this is I'll hold it up to a light so I can actually see through it when I'm doing this. Oh, not even on the light there. So I'm going to start by gluing the leg in the front of the sofa. That tends to give me some structure that makes the other folds and gluing process a little bit easier. I'm going to just hold that for a second until it gets a little bit tacky. Do the other side. Notice how it fits right in between those armrests. What I like to do is put a little bead of glue in the corner here, and then squeeze together, and I'm going to smooth that glue into that corner. Hopefully you can see into there. Let that set up for a second. The other glue I like to use is this crazy glue. It tends to work pretty well as well. So it's got a brush on it, which I think is kind of handy. And for things that are just a bugger to sort of get set, it's going to keep that together. And what I'm learning here is I maybe have too many pieces of paper, so I can eliminate this whole side on the back of this particular piece, or I could eliminate these pieces altogether and utilize this glue tab to secure it to the side, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So what I learned is all those tabs that I had on there were unnecessary because I left the tab on the back of the sofa. And that's what I mean by sometimes you just have to try and experiment with this. So look how much cleaner that will be. All I have to do is glue down this edge and we should be good to go. So I'm going to take that little bead of glue and pinch those together for a second. We should be alright. Then I'll do the other side. So after a couple of quick hits with the crazy glue, which works really, really well, the sides are folded and supported, and the back is there. And now all we need to do is tuck these arm ends inside. So I'm going to quickly do that. Use my knife to sort of bend this in place. Fold it back inside, tuck it, and do the same on this side. And hopefully it works out as easily as that side did. You spoke too soon. There we go. those pushed in. And now I'm going to hit it with a little bit of that crazy glue again. Make sure you don't put your finger on it at this point because it will stick to it. And just like that, in a matter of about 25 minutes, you've got a scale sofa. So I got both of these sofas put together, but this is my first one, and you can see in the first one there's some issues, but still workable. We're just looking for a nice scale piece, so you can see the folds aren't quite as good as the other one. The connections aren't as good, but I made some discoveries as I was building this one. So then I edited my drawing, came up with this one. The ends are a little bit cleaner, front's a little bit cleaner, and all in all, it just took about 25 minutes to do. So there's a quick tutorial on how to make scaled white cardstock furniture.